Fresh newspapers now. Flo's joining us here on set. It was front page news this yesterday, wasn't it, Flo? Papers still focusing on this unlikely group of protesters taking to the streets. They're business owners.
That's right, small business owners. On Monday, several hundred of them marched through the streets of Paris, protesting against what they call the unsustainable burden of taxation and too much red tape. They're still holding all sorts of protests this week, calling for the government to make concessions. They're starting to face a little backlash in the press, though. Here you can see the front page of Libération, the left-leaning paper that's pretty annoyed, has harsh words. Les ingrats. Basically, it's calling these bosses spoiled and ungrateful.
Ooh, okay.
Why is that? Well, Libération says the government has already made a lot of concessions, has given in to the demands of businesses. Basically, Libé says that businesses have been winning for the past 2 years. You can see here, Libé is focusing on 7 concessions that Hollande has made. For instance, the government has promised 41 billion euros in tax breaks over the next 3 years. Also, Hollande decided to drop any kind of regulation on the amount of money that big bosses can make. So Libération in its editorial wonders, don't these business owners have any memory? This is the most accommodating and business-friendly socialist government that France has ever had. What have bosses given the government in return? Well, you can see the answer there, gifle, a slap in the face.
Okay, now one really controversial one that these business owners are asking for as well is more ability, flexibility, if you like, to work on a Sunday. Controversial.
Absolutely, very controversial. The economy minister, Emmanuel Macron, has suggested that the government is ready to give a little leeway to shops that want to open on Sunday. But you can see here, L'Opinion points out that he's going to face tough opposition here in Paris by the socialist mayor, Anne Hidalgo. You can see here, L'Opinion, the headline says that Hidalgo has declared war on Macron with respect to this Sunday trade.
Okay, another war now. Right-leaning paper Le Figaro, they're up in arms against plans to reform the school grading system here in France. That debate carrying on as well today.
Absolutely. We saw that in Le Figaro yesterday. Le Parisien says, let's talk about the real issues here. So yesterday, Le Figaro called the education minister, Najat Vallaud-Belkacem, a leftist hippie who's too soft on students. Why is that? Well, it's because the government is exploring a reform to the public education grading system. Here in France, students are graded out of 20. It's a pretty harsh grading system, so the government is exploring another option, which would be a kinder system with scales. But Le Parisien says, is grading really a priority? Isn't this kind of a distraction? There are a lot more pressing issues that need to be addressed. For instance, the need to revalue the teaching profession because there's a serious lack of teachers, and also the government really needs to address dropout rates. Each year, 140,000 students drop out of schools here in France with 0 diplomas and 0 options. These are the emergencies that need to be addressed, according to Le Parisien.
And another day, another bad day for the left here in France. Paul and Le Figaro, it's very worrying this, isn't it, for the left?
That's right. Le Figaro today does an exercise not in science fiction, but in political fiction. They have they explore a parallel world, basically. If parliamentary elections were held today, well, the left would take a serious pounding. If there were a snap parliamentary election today, the opposition UMP and the centrist UDI parties, they would win 500 of the 577 parliamentary seats. This is, of course, hypothetical, but Le Figaro is very excited about this.
Okay, now, finally, we're going to end with a very, 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 very serious story about fries.
That's
chips,
right. You might not know
English people call them.
Chips, exactly.
Yeah.
This week is the week of the fry. It's Fry Week.
Didn't know.
And now, fries are a signature dish of Belgium. And Le Parisien reports on this very serious story. In honor of Fry Week, the normally divided Belgians have come together to try and win UNESCO's World Heritage status for their world-famous dish. But the problem is, there's a major dispute over who invented the fry. Because after all, in American, we talk about French fries.
Exactly, that's very true.
Of course, in English, as you said, we talk about chips, but it's a very serious issue, and the French and the Belgians have been fighting over the ownership of fries for centuries, according to this article. Historians say it's actually impossible to know who invented the fry, but this article points out that Belgians, they really have their eye on the fry.
On the fry. It wasn't a man called Ronald, then? I thought it was a man called Ronald.
I don't think so.
Flo, giving me the latest news there in the French newspapers. Thank you.